Hey toy fans and toy makers. Today I'm doing a video on play patterns, which is the key to understanding the way kids, parents, anyone interacts with product. And by play patterns, I wasn't talking about sports, and I'm not talking about something like this, and I'm definitely not talking about the ability to put colored blocks into a pattern system like, red, yellow, blue, red, yellow, blue. What I'm talking about by play pattern, it's an industry term that describes the way consumers interact with toy product. And this includes kids, parents, grandparents, and even adult collectors, which we're going to get into all of that. It's important to understand this because having an understanding of a play pattern, which is really the emotional connection between child or consumer and toy product, is really the key to making better product. When you understand how children and adult collectors interact and play with their product, it's only going to create better product and a better understanding. And there are very specific ways that, I'm going to say consumers, because children, adults, grandparents, everyone interacts with toys. It's not just random. There are time-tested play patterns that kids follow. And I'm not talking about things like kicking a ball. That's sports. That's an activity. So we're not going to be covering sports in this video. We're going to be talking about more traditional toys and the way children interact with those toys. And as I mentioned, this also is true with the adult collector, how adult collectors display and play and show off their collection, which also includes doing cosplay, whether you're using actual costumes or prop replicas. Dressing up as your favorite superhero is also a way of interacting with toys. So we're going to kind of cover that as well. What I'm not going to talk about are different franchises and IP, like Ghostbusters here, that has a very unique play pattern. I did a whole video just on that, and you can see the link here in the flag. I'm really going to be talking about more broad play patterns. And now action figures as a category does have a broad play pattern, but I'm also going to do a separate video on that because things like He-Man and Transformers actually do have a unique play pattern, not just with action figures in general. So we'll cover that in a different video. Today, we're really going to look at more basic play patterns that involve kids, such as wheel play and doll play. So let's jump into that with the aforementioned wheel play or car play. So this is essentially the play pattern of a child pushing a car around on a carpet or on a track, crashing it into each other, essentially making a vehicle go, and usually a ground-based vehicle. Obviously there are helicopters and planes and boats, but that tends to be slightly different. Like boats are kind of like bath play, or pool play. You really need water for that. When we're dealing with something like Hot Wheels on a track where you're pushing a car down a specific course, that is the essence of what the industry calls wheel play. So what is the allure of wheel play? Why do kids engage in this play pattern? Well, a big reason is cars are awesome and cars are aspirational. And yes, this is for boys and girls, but it is primarily a boy play pattern. And I'm going to talk about the difference between boy and girl play patterns in a moment. But as far as wheel play in general, when you're dealing with a car and a big motorized machine, well, these are very, not just aspirational for children, but they're, well, for lack of a better word, amazing. You see these giant trucks driving on the freeway and around town, and as a child, is it any wonder you're enamored with these, giant machines? It's not that they're monsters. They're just fantastic, and they're huge. And you have to remember, for children, you're very small and you're out of control. You don't get to control your bedtime or when you go to school or when you eat. This is all controlled for you. So the idea of having some kind of control over the world is soothing. It's very relaxing to feel like this out of control giant world is somehow yours to handle. And that's why things like toy cars work so well, because a child in their hand can control these awesome huge vehicles that they see all over town. Try going back to your school playground when you were a kid, your elementary school, and you'll realize how small the playground is. I bet you thought it was huge when you were a kid. Now, this line here, specifically Cars, the Pixar Cars line, is very interesting because it combines sort of buddy play with car play by infusing the faces, the personality, and of course the content that the movies that it supported. But by doing this, it really made the cars much more like my buddy, like a friend that's going to go with you. And I would almost call the Pixar Cars line sort of the ultimate Wheels play, because not only are you getting that sense of control of the world, but you're also getting a friend who's going to go with you. Really, really cool. All right, let's switch gears and talk about a female-girl play pattern, which is called nurturing play or hair play, the idea of combing hair. Now, again, I'll get into the whole difference between boy and girl play patterns, but what this play pattern is, this nurturing play, is really being mom. Seeing mom taking care of a baby, especially if you have a younger brother or sister. Parents are, our first teachers, and we idolize them. We want to copy everything they do. And for a girl, this translates into nurturing play. It's the desire to take care of something and to help it and to something small, and that you're again in charge of that small thing. It's empowering the girl or boy to have some sense of control over a bigger world, because now you're in charge. You're taking care of the dolly. It's not just mommy taking care of you. You're the one that's doing the nurturing. You're the one that's doing the taking care of. So it's very, very empowering. That's where nurturing play patterns come from. And the same with hair play. It's about, styling the hair, having control over the hair. As a child, you have very little control over anything in your life. Everything is dictated to you. Now, looking at female and male brains, all joking aside, they are very, very different. And this is proven by science. It's mainly the fact that male and female brains process information in a very different way. And this is what creates the difference between boy and girl play patterns, how their brains are functioning. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole thing with social justice warriors here. I'm not saying boys are better than girls or girls are better than boys or we can't all be equal. What I'm saying is the way male and female brains scientifically function and process information does make them different. Like the whole, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, which is more of a kind of a pop culture way of looking at this scientific thing. I think the men are just from Mars because that's where the monsters come from, but that's besides the point. A better example is the book You Just Don't Understand by Deborah Tannen. This is a great book that looks at men and women's conversation styles and how they're completely different based on how their brains work. This translates perfectly into toy play, and Lego is an amazing example of this. Lego is one of those toys where it's really equal how boys and girls like to play with it. But here's the thing. Boys and girls engage and play. Their play pattern with Lego is extremely different. Girls play with Lego in a much more open environment way. Whereas when a boy is playing with Lego, they want that it's a closed way. Lego embraced this, and they spent 5 years and a huge amount of money researching and understanding how boys and girls play with Legos different. And you saw things, again, sorry, social justice warriors out there, but saying, why do girls need their own Legos? Why can't we all have the same Legos? But there is, again, a fundamental reason in science because our brains work different. Boys want to create, sort of call it a trophy. They want to do outplay where they can, create the castle, put it on their shelf, and feel accomplishment. They made this and then play with it like a playset or just display it. For girls, and Lego incorporated this based on the research they found from their 5-year study, want to have inner play, meaning they want to have all of the Lego sets be open, not closed off the way that castle set was, so that the characters can go into it, out to it, you can customize it. There's not one set way of doing it. Again, same toy, Lego, same building system, but two very different ways of playing, and because Lego embraced that, they saw huge sales. They found that by making play sets that appealed to both play patterns, they could succeed. And this is exactly kind of the point of this video, and what the point I'm trying to make is that understanding play patterns and embracing them is going to lead to better financial results. You will make better product and you will sell more product by embracing play patterns as opposed to, say, pushing against them and just trying to get, one toy that works for everybody. All right, let's switch gears one last time and talk about collecting. This is a play pattern I'm personally very connected with because I'm an adult collector. I have thousands of toys and action figures and collectibles. And as a kid, I was doing this too. So with what I would call the collect them all play pattern, it doesn't matter what you're collecting. You could be collecting Barbies. You could be collecting marbles. You could be collecting stamps or coins or leaves. Whatever it is, it's a sense of accomplishment. If you're collecting Pez dispensers, getting everything and having your collection on display in the way you want it, whether you're an adult collector or you're a child collector, and there are lots of children collectors. Collecting is an absolute viable play pattern for children as well. It's all about that sense of accomplishment, and that it's a dopamine hit essentially. It comes, let's say from those old 80s card backs that literally said collect them all. When you have the collection you want, however you define your collection, that is a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride. And that's what the play pattern is all about. It's about feeling really good about yourself because you accomplished something. And being able to look at your collection or show your collection off to other people is what creates the emotional drive and connection. And personal plug here, I happen to be running an eBay auction for some very rare product, and you'll see a link in the description. Having a very rare toy that nobody else has, well, that's the other side of accomplishment. That's bragging rights. That's being able to say, I have something that no one else has. And you can see those auctions for charity in the link below. When we're talking about the connection between brain and the heart, and yes, I know the heart pumps blood, but you know what I mean by the emotions, that's what it's all about. It's having an understanding of why children, adults, parents, grandparents are engaging with toy product. It's not just because they're colorful or because they're fun or because they represent content like Cars, Pixar, or Star Wars, or Indiana Jones, or anything, Strawberry Shortcake. Yeah, you may like the content, but the reason you're getting toys is because of a play pattern. And that's all based on the emotional connection. And again, personal plug, that's what my company does. We have a very unique approach working with child play therapists and psychiatrists and toy makers to understand the emotional connection between product and consumer. And that's why we can help you make better toys and better consumer product. I'm not just talking about the toy category. This works in all industries: beauty, music, mechanical, you name it. No matter what, it's all about understanding that emotional connection. And that is the key to a play pattern. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. Let me know if there's any play patterns I missed. Are there some toys and play patterns you'd like to hear more about? Put them in the comments below, and that'll be great. And you'll see videos based on those suggestions soon. Thanks for watching.